West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Oh, Bumbleclot. Oh, Rasclot. Oh, Bumbleclot. Oh, Rasclot. West Indies have lost to Scotland. Scotland, you know. Scotland. Jaja. I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees out here. How much pain and sufferation can I take out here? I've been seeing. Do you know how many L's I've seen? Do you know how many L's I've seen in my West Indies supporting career? I've seen so many L's that when I see the latest L, I'm not even supposed to feel anything anymore. I'm just supposed to accept it and be like, well, that's just the latest L. We move. Scotland, you know. Scotland. Not even the men's team, because we already done know that Scotland's men's team are better than us. I've accepted that one. When they've given us, like Scotland have given us a couple L's. They gave us the L's in the World Cup qualifiers in 2023. They gave us the L in the T20 World Cup they gave us that L in the T20 World Cup 2022. So we're used to their men's side just treating us like we're nothing. Like we're used to that now. I can deal with Scotland men just bending us over and just doing the dirt on us. But now the women? Oh God. The women? Scotland are now doing the dirt on us in the women's game. What's next, cuz? What's next? In the last 3 years, I've seen Ireland do the dirt on us. Scotland do the dirt on us. Zimbabwe do the dirt. Netherlands do the dirt. PNG nearly did the dirt on us. And now Scotland women are doing the dirt. Oh. Well, thing is, we're not even. Do you know what? The worst thing is, this ain't even rock bottom. This ain't even rock bottom for me, because I know this ain't even about the women's team. This ain't about the men's team. I know there's another L coming for me within the next 2 years. I know there's a next L coming for me. Every time I think I've hit the lowest L, there's another L just round the corner that I've got to process and I've got to take and be like, rah, we're really outside in the associate level. We're really outside. We're really an associate team, cuz. Oh God. Thank God. You know what? Thank God Scotland men haven't and won't ever get full member test status. Because if they did, they'd leng us down in that as well. Thank God we'll never have to take a test L from Scotland. I mean, maybe famous last words, but at least I'll never have to see a test L, because they just won't get the status to do it. So I can pretend that we're better than them when it comes to test cricket, but they'll never get a chance to prove otherwise. This morning, I woke up at 5:30, 5:25 to be precise. So Atush says, I said this morning that anything over 180 would be hard. Well, that's nonsense, Atush, because we got 233. So if it was 180, we would have chased that and we would have won. Like, that doesn't make sense as a statement. If you're saying 244 would have been hard, well, that makes sense. Let's not get this twisted. Let's not get this twisted. West Indies should have won that game today. Scotland, and I want to be respectful to the Scottish women's team. So first things first, as much as I've done that intro, let's put respect on Scotland women's name. At the end of the day, I've always been of the belief in any sports game, if you win it, you deserve to win it, right? So Scotland women deserve to win that game. I'm not going to try and front. However, two things can be right at the same time. Scotland women deserve to win it. West Indies lost it. I think both those statements are correct. At one point in the chase, West Indies women were 100 and something like 144-1. I think it was 144-1. When Zayda James got out, the game was basically in the bag. Hayley had even said to Zayda James, after about 5 overs, I heard on the stump mic, Hayley said to Zayda James, if we bat 20 overs, we win this. And I was like, okay, that's a bit presumptuous, but I understand Hayley's thinking, right? I understood it, because Hayley's thinking would have been, if me and Zayda get to 20 overs, the chase is basically nearly under 100 runs. And we've got so much depth in the batting that even if someone got out, we can chase down the remaining 100 runs. Zayda James did her job. I don't care that Zayda scored 45 off 89 deliveries or not. Because Hayley was at the other end, Zayda did her job. When Zayda comes in at number 3, her job is to anchor the innings for as long as she can, which allows one of Hayley or Kiana, depending on who's got out first, to play their natural game. Hayley was playing her natural game, going at roughly a run a ball, doing her thing. When Zayda got out, there was no circumstance in which West Indies should have lost from there. And again, I'm not trying to denigrate Scotland, the Scottish women's side, but can you truly, and I'm going to bring Osprey on. The only reason I'm doing this live, and the reason why it's at this time, is because I messaged Osprey about 3 hours ago. I think it was 3 hours ago. Maybe it was 2 hours ago. I can't remember. And I said, do you fancy coming on live? Because I think it's important to get a Scotland fan's perspective on this. So I'll do the little monologue at the beginning, and then I'll bring Osprey on. But when Zayda was out, you have Shemaine Campbell, Stefani Taylor, Chanel Henry. That's your next 3. Forget the fact Deandra's not there. We shouldn't even need Deandra in this situation. So you have Shemaine Campbell, Stefani Taylor, Chanel Henry, Shabika Gajnabi, who just hit in the warm-up games a 40-odd and a 60-odd, right? So she's come into the game in form. So you got Shabika at 6, Alira Lane at 7. That's 5 batters who have enough about them to negotiate a chase of less than 100 balls with Hayley Matthews at the other end, right? This before we even count the so-called tail, because Afi knows how to bat. Cherry Ann Fraser knows how to bat. Karishma Ramarak is limited, but knows how to bat. That is more than enough. These are international standard players who have played at the highest level. I'm not saying they're top quality, but they've played at the highest level, and they certainly have more experience than the Scottish women's players at the highest level. So you're supposed to be able to negotiate that. Do you know what it reminded me of? In some ways, it reminded me of the men's team in the World Cup qualifiers in 2023, when we shit down ourselves, when we managed to contrive. Remember when of course everyone remembers, when Netherlands chased that 3, whatever it was, to tie the game and then win the Super Over, West Indies should have seen that game out. I don't care if Netherlands are one of the most experienced associate teams. West Indies men should have seen that game out. What this showed me, and I think I even said it to Osprey when I was doing the live watch along this morning. I think I said on the kind of live watch along before I turned it off and went to work. I think I said, or maybe Osprey put a comment, and I think I said something near the back end of the first innings for Scotland, something along the lines of, for an associate team to beat West Indies, they have to play at their absolute maximum, and West Indies have to drop it by 5%. Now, I'm not even sure if I saw... Well, no, actually, because Osprey's going to come on. I think with the bat, Scotland played at their absolute maximum with the bat. Yes, I think Catherine... Was it Catherine? I think Catherine Bryce gave away a wicket with that. I think, was she the one who did the paddle sweep to Shemaine Campbell? She gave away a wicket, but in general, there were players in that Scotland team who put up the best performance of their career so far. So Megan McCall, I don't follow Scotland women, but I reckon when Osprey comes on, he'll say that's probably the best he's seen her bat. Sarah Bryce did what Sarah Bryce can do. Even at the top, Darcy, is it Darcy Carter, the youngster? She probably batted better than most Scottish fans would have expected her to do, given the game context, given the game situation, given her level of inexperience. At the back end, Fraser, is it Catherine Fraser? She probably batted better. Even with her potential, she probably batted better than everyone. Most of the Scottish players, Lister, most of the Scottish players probably batted better than Scotland fans would have expected them to do, right? So they played at their level and slightly above in some individual cases. But with the ball, check this out. This is why I'm vexed. With the ball, they didn't do anything special. Yeah, they were disciplined. They were disciplined. I'll give them that. They were completely disciplined and stayed on a disciplined line and length. But if you're a West Indian, and I hope this reaches the women's team, because I'm vexed, yes. I'm vexed because all Scotland could do is what they can do, which is try and stay as disciplined as possible for as long as possible and hope that the full member side loses their head and loses their discipline. You tell me if that game was anything more than Scotland staying disciplined and West Indies dropping their levels. You can't tell me. Okay, so look at let me think of the dismissals, right? So Stefani Taylor gets run out. I'll allow her for that one. Ideally, you don't want that to happen, but I'll allow that one. Chanel Henry comes out. You're a big bats now these days, Chanel. You got your WIPL deal, and you come out, and Chanel can't tell me nothing different to this. I am adamant this is what happened. Chanel comes out, and I think she says to herself, this is little woman Scotland. I'm going to just leng these girls down. They're not on my level. First ball, leng that for 6. Let me set pace. Let me set pace. Let me show levels. Because I play in the WIPL, and these girls are little. Let me set pace on them. Second ball, leng it for 6. Okay, you're going on wicked and bad now, Chanel. You've got 12 from 2. Where's the part where you assess the situation now? You've got 12 from 2. You've just shown them that they're little gal, and you're setting pace on them. But still assess the situation. You got 12 from 2. You're with the queen down the other end of the wicket. You don't assess the situation and say, okay, I've shown them little pieces of levels here. Now let me just dot off the last ball and we go again next over. It was yes, Sachin's right. It was a pure ego thing. A big ego flex. Now let me lay down a third 6. What the hell do you think this is? This is big World Cup qualifiers, and you know what I call them ones? You're playing for yourself. You're not playing for the wider good here. Yes, I'm vexed. Yes, I'm taking it personal because that wasn't playing the situation. That was about showing the Scotland team, I'm bigger than you, little gal. I'm big things out here. Real dunce and bossy. Real dunce and bossy play. And you see the minute Chanel got out, that's when I started panicking. That when she got out, I started panicking because I said, wait a minute. If Scotland women didn't believe before, they better believe they can win this now, because I was looking at the rest of the batting lineup going, I think these lot are going to lose their head, you know. I think they're going to lose their head. But of course, at the other end, we got Queen Hayley. So you're saying you're kind of caught in two worlds here because we're so used to Queen Hayley rescuing us in any kind of situation. So you're looking at Queen Hayley and you're thinking, yeah, don't worry. Okay, this is a bit panicky, but we got Queen Hayley. And Osprey said something in the Discord, which was spot on. Osprey said Scotland should just target getting everybody else out. They're not going to get Hayley out. Go after everyone else. So said, so done. Shabika Gajnabi comes out, flashes at one on the 7th stump line, nicks off. I'm watching like this. I'm like what's his name in The Wire, Weebay. I'm like this. When Shabika got out, this was me. That's me in my classroom going, Jaja, what's going on? Who came after Shabika? Aaliyah Lane comes out. And so Aaliyah Lane comes out. And in fairness to Aaliyah, I know she was the last person out, but she played He played all right, but then of course Hayley then starts cramping up. So Hayley cramps up now. Hayley comes off, and I'm thinking, and Cherry Ann Fraser comes out, and Cherry Ann Fraser gets bowled down first ball. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna lose. We're actually gonna lose. Affy Fletcher comes out. Did Affy come after Cherry? Affy Fletcher comes out. Now Affy Fletcher can bat, you know. Affy Fletcher. When I say she can bat, I'm not saying she's any kind of good batter, but she can play a situation. Affy, if I'm not, I can't remember who was bowling, but there was only 2 people out on the. I think it was on. Was it like deep mid wicket? Can't remember. Was it deep mid wicket or was it deep cover? I can't deep cover. Either way, she was caught in the deep, right? But what was she doing? Remember, all the while I'm saying this, people, I need to remind you of something. West Indies didn't need to do any big shots. I just need to let you all know this. West Indies didn't need to do anything out of the ordinary. They at that point when Affy did her madness, West Indies needed something like 50 from 70 or something like that, or 52 from 68. There was, and bear in mind, you know, yes, Hayley Matthews cramping up, but she's the queen. You know she's going to come back out. Affy lasted about, what, 2 balls? And hoiks it out to deep mid-wicket. And I'm like, what the blood? Hey, no need, you know. Now, when I look at that, that's when I'm thinking you've got head loss. The team has got head loss because it has to be one of them classic situations in cricket where wickets are tumbling, quick time. No one's got the kind of champion mindset to say, right, I'm going to be the one to dig in. I'm going to be the one to dig in and sort this out. It was like Grandpa Simpson, just revolving door of in, out, in, out, in, out. Everyone discombobulated, pads not on, fixing pads as you're coming out, and just swiping. Scotland actually thought they'd won when then Hayley came back out, slaps a 4, collapses to the ground, gets stretchered off. 99 not out. Now imagine you're the West Indies team now. You're seeing your captain literally mash up her body to try and get the team over the line. And none of you can't just stay with her. You can't just play the situation. Karishma comes out, pops one up first ball, gone. Scotland start celebrating because they're like, surely Hayley's not coming back out. This game's done. I wish Hayley hadn't come back out. Because she shouldn't have had to come back out. When Hayley rolled her body off the stretcher to come back out to try and win the match, I think we needed 42 runs. Hayley did a cane. She did this. She did one of these ones. No, she did Undertaker. She did one of these ones. She did that one. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Undertaker is back from the dead. Oh my God. She did one of them ones, came out to try choke slam everybody on the Scottish team. Right. And to be fair to Aaliyah Elaine, Aaliyah tried her best. She actually tried to stick with Hayley as long as she could. Right. And obviously we lost by 11 runs in the end. But when Aaliyah got pinned LBW and we lost the game, for a moment, for a very brief moment, I was as angry as I was when we lost to Netherlands, when the men's team lost to Netherlands in the World Cup qualifiers. For a brief moment, that the level of anger I felt was the same. And then I just accepted it, and then I just had to accept it because this is what we are now in all forms of cricket, from the youth stages all the way through to the senior stages. This is just what we are. Listen, this is what Errol said. Osprey, I'm about to bring you on, by the way. As Errol says here, we've seen the men do this. It's a region-wide mentality, fragility, the ultimate fragility. I think the way I described it on Twitter or on X was I said it was that classic thing, right, where every player, I've seen this happen in cricket so many times before when there's complete discombobulation going on, where every player is saying, oh, don't worry, the next person will sort it out. And this is where having Hayley is both a gift and a curse. Because when you have someone like Hayley, and you might argue, not anymore, but once upon a time, you might argue it was the same with Shea Hope in the men's ODI side. When you have someone who's so many levels above everybody else in the team, I think it might be second nature to think, they'll sort it out for me. Yeah, I'm out, but don't worry, Hayley's there. She'll sort it out. So I'm out, but don't worry, Hayley will sort it out. And do you know what pissed me off? When people were dashing away their wickets and getting out, no one was flinging their bat. And I'm not saying you must do the performative anger thing, but no one was flinging their bat or looking overly distraught that the game was slipping away from them. In fact, do you know when I started to see emotion, real emotion? I started to see emotion when we had 1 wicket to go and Hayley and Aaliyah were trying to pull off one of the greatest heists of all time. And everyone's clapping on the bench, going, yeah. And I'm thinking, you were the ones who've just put us in this situation. How do you have the gumption now to clap and ray and stand up and I get it, but you were the ones who put us in this situation. Every single person in that dressing room owes Hayley Matthews an apology. Every single person. If Hayley went into that dressing room and draped everybody up, I wouldn't even say she shouldn't do it. How can you have someone lead from the front with the ball, 4 for 53 with the ball, remember, against an associate side, respectfully, 4 for 53 with the ball, 114 not out on a Bruck leg and foot, and no one can't help her, not one person. And we aren't talking about part-time players. This team now, remember, Cricket West Indies have given this lot professional contracts now. These are professional cricketers now. They are paid to be professional. They've got some of them have got multi-year contracts. I think Hayley's got one. Shemaine Campbell's got one. The rest of them have the 1-year contract. They're getting paid year in, year out to be professionals. And this before we talk about the academy team, the girls' women's academies team as well. You're paid professionals. Respectfully, are all the Scottish players paid professionals? Respectfully. Osprey will tell me if I'm being naive there, but are they paid professionals? And this is why, for all my anger and disappointment and frustration, we've got to hand it to Scotland. We've got to hand it to Scotland. This is the biggest win for them in their cricketing history. And they have every right to look at us and say, so you're full member. You're full member. You're not full member. All you are is Hayley Matthews. That's it. You ain't full member. And I hope the women's team, I hope this is played in the dressing room. And I hope people are vexing me running up my stink English mouth and so on, a stink England man in London and so on and so forth. I hope you're all vexed with that. Because you know what? Do your job, innit? Do your job. Because the same way I'd cuss the men's team, do your job. Do your job. We're sick of this, you know? Okay, let me not say we. Me. Forget everyone else, because I don't know about everyone else. I'm sick of this, you know? I've been taking L's non-stop. I've been taking L's for ever since Caribbean Cricket Podcast was created. I've been taking L's, pure L's, you know, coming on show just to talk about L's. Let me feel a little joy in my life, just a one little joy. So here's what you lot need to do. Here's what you lot need to do. You see on Friday when we play Ireland, I don't want to see no L's, you know. I don't want to see no L's. I don't want to see an L. Please. Just give me a little win for the weekend. Let me try have a bit of joy for the weekend. No L's, because we got 4 matches left, and we're in grave danger of not going to the World Cup. I thought it was just the men's team that do you know what? Sorry, I'm finishing soon. I thought it was just the men's team that were addicted to shitting up themselves, because the men's team, it's so endemic, and I know Darren's trying to change the culture of it all, but the men's team, it's so endemic within what we do that most of us now we're not even surprised now when the men's team shit up themselves. We're actually used to it. They've actually made it so common for us that when we see an associate team play us, most of us are like, yeah, we might lose to them still. The only associate team that I've never panicked when the West Indies men are playing is USA. Them men are shit. Them USA can never beat us. Never. Famous last words, right? But I'm used to it on the men's side. I'm not actually used to it on the women's side. So that's why this was a shock for me today. I think because of Hayley and Deandra and Stefani, even when we've been down bad, we've known that they can rescue us. And now we're losing to associate teams in women's cricket as well. Oh, bomber clot. Oh, rasclat. Right, let me bring on Osprey. It's time for the Scottish gloating. Imagine. I'm bringing on Scotland, man, to gloat in my face. Right, okay. Right, let me bring on Osprey. Right, this link is for Osprey people. Some of you are going to try click this link and think that I want to talk to you. No. This is Scotland man time now. This time for Scots. Time for the Scots. Time for the Scots to have their say. Twerk on us, run styles on us, and run jokes on us. Ah, boy. If I could walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who'd sat 1,000 miles to walk down at my door. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Right, Osprey, it's your time now. Okay, click that link. Click that link, Osprey. Come through. Time for the Scots to celebrate and clown on us. I don't even know. I don't actually know if Osprey's even in the chat. There's me putting the link in there, and I don't even know if he's in the chat. Hey, where's Osprey? Let me message this man. If anyone's in the Discord, tell Osprey it's his time now. Let me message him. Put the big link in the Discord. He's not even there. Oh, here he is. He's here, people. Osprey is here. Let me bring him through. Yes, Osprey. How you doing?
Ash, yes. I mean, you've said a lot of things there. I'm not going to look. You've said I'm quite torn this one. I'm like I said, I'm Scotland first, but West Indies are second, and it's like undoubtedly.
Well, do you know what? Do you know how I'm going to do this, Osprey? Actually, because there are some questions that I want to put to you. I guess to kind of give the West Indian fan base listening to this, whether back home in the Caribbean or in the diaspora, to give the context for the Scottish women's team. Because before this game started, you said to me, you know what? The squad that Scotland have picked here is very much with one eye on qualifying for the 2026 T20 World Cup. And you repeatedly said to me during the game, Scotland have never scored more than 211 in an ODI game. Scotland hadn't even played many ODIs before this World Cup qualification. So I think just me saying that puts this victory in some kind of perspective. But just, I guess, articulate for people the kind of the relative inexperience we're talking about in terms of the team that played today.
Yeah, it was like you say, as you said earlier, it's the greatest win in Scottish women's cricket's history in all formats. We've beaten full members before. We've beaten Ireland in 2023, but Ireland are more our level. You expect, I said, we have shared history that one. Yeah, 211 was the highest score we scored against a full member. That one we have, but we've only played. This was our 18th one-day international as a women's team, and the West Indies women have just played 24 ODIs in the last 3 years cycle as part of the Future Tours program. That the tournament that they didn't get finished in the top 6 to qualify for the World Cup automatically. They played 24 games there, so that's the kind of level of gap experience in there. The last time Scotland played West Indies in West Indies women in an ODI, it was in 2003, and Scotland were bowled out for 74, and then West Indies women won that by 9 wickets in 8 overs, something ridiculous like that. It's a huge win, and that was before professionalisation. That's it. So it is a huge win for Scotland in that context in there. And the experience. And yeah, and on top of that, Scotland are missing players.
Yes.
Saskia Horley is usually our go-to opener. But she's out injured, so she's not in the squad. And we all have one a young spinner, Olivia Bell, who you expect to get at least 7 or 8 overs out of. She's out injured. She's not in the squad as well. And on top of that, our only out-and-out bowler, Rachel Slater, who gets 100 deal, and she's got a county contract. She was on the bench today, and I was baffled by that when that squad was announced. So I thought she was a left-arm pacer. Well, she's not super quick, but like I said, the left-arm pacer with the angulation, I thought that's something different here. Something West Indies don't play. So that we left her on the bench and still won is just shocking to me. Like I said, I'm still in a bit of a state of shock that I actually won that game. And to give, like I said, the youth experience, you mentioned that we do have an eye on the 2026 T20 World Cup because it's in England. I'm thinking hopefully get through the qualifiers and have a, put more of a respectable showing than we did at the World Cup last year. But also, like I said, there's also the one eye on the 2029 World Cup when it expands from 8 teams to 10 teams, the ODI World Cup. So it's kind of like Scotland's plan is really, we've picked a load of youth league players. Just to give you some of the ages, like Ailsa Lister is 21. Darcy Carter, who's opening batting, is a 19-year-old. Catherine Fraser, it's her 20th birthday today. Chloe Abel, who's on there, she's 21. And they've got Olivia Bell, who's missing, she's 21. Like I said, even Megan McCall is 24. Sarah Bryce, 25. Catherine Bryce, 27. It's a young squad. That's what I'm to make it think. So, one for the future. So that was a surprise. But yeah, the main focus is to get this tournament was to, we say obviously, we're going like every team. We're going there to win the games. We know they're not to make numbers. We're going there with a chance of qualifying. But realistically, my expectations, I assume that the realistic expectations of the team were we beat Thailand because we're better than Thailand. And that one. And we want to beat Ireland because it's the bragging rights. Scotland Ireland is the big rivalry, and we know we can beat them. And maybe just we could get a sneaker win against Bangladesh because we're not that much worse off than Bangladesh. But they also said they still are a bit ahead of us in terms of funding and more experience. But I said, but beating the West Indies, I mean, in the watch along, I said I never thought at no point did I say that hope a chance. I thought we would have gone like the match last year in the T20 World Cup, where it was like, all right, you've had your fun, Scotland. Now we're going to wreck you down, and as it did, and they destroyed us in 12 overs. They chased down 100 runs. So that's the thing. Yeah, it's just
you see. Let me let's look at some aspects of the game. Now the game's over. I can look back in hindsight and I look at certain phases of the game, and now I ask questions at the time, and I'm not trying to pretend that I was saying it at the time. So the first thing, do you think it was the right decision to put Scotland into bat first?
I think yes, because I saw in the first 10 overs, Hayley got quite a lot of movement in there, and Scotland going with a makeshift opening partnership. And Scotland's plan was to put, I mean, Carter has batted 3 occasionally. She's last August when that was the last time we played an ODI. It was in August last year. So they promoted her up to 3, to open with Abby Aitken-Drummond. And I think the plan from Scotland was just to bounce out the power play because we saw it in the T20 World Cup last year. Players were getting cramp a lot of the time. And I think the idea is that with Sarah Bryce, she's out keeping for 50 overs. So if we were going to, so the idea was to keep her in the dressing room as long as possible so she has reduced that risk of cramp. And give Catherine and the Bryce sisters play more in their natural positions. They normally bat 3 to 6 when they're playing county cricket or in any of the franchise leagues you see them in. That's where they're more suited to him. They open in T20 or they bat at the top of the order simply because Scotland, we don't have that talent depth of batting yet. They still are our 2 best batters by a long way. So they get pushed up the order to do that. But for us, Scotland to have a chance of winning, they needed to bat long. and they need to bat like 20, 30 overs in. Yeah, so that's the thing. So they opened that in, and then that surprisingly we got. It was very streaky at points. Like there was a lot of playing and missing, particularly from Carter. And also both of them. There's a lot of playing missing, a lot of swiping outside, like 6 on 7 stump, playing and missing. But they did manage to put 40 on, and about the thing that batted. I think just a quick check. It was it was 12th over when they finally got that breakthrough at 48 for 1, and going well. That's it. They've got a solid platform for the Bryce sisters to come in and do a bit of hitting. That's what I thought. So but I did see, like I said, Hayley was getting plenty of movement in there, and she deserved the wicket she got. I think the only one that says Catherine Bryce did give her wicket away, but that's paddling. I've not seen them do that shot much, but so I think there was something in the dressing room they picked up. Because there's a few batters were trying that, just trying to paddle it softly down to fine leg or over the keeper. But I think she was trying to be too clever and easy with it. She's got very soft hands, very delicate, and just dolled it up to the keeper. But other than that, like I said, the Scotland had the dismissals. Like I said, the West Indies had to work for them.
Yeah, 100%. When Bryce, Sarah Bryce, and I think it was Megan McCall, at one point, I think with 32, I think I wrote it down, at 32 overs, I think Scotland were 171 for 4, right? And at one point, they were looking like, obviously, there was always that sense of if West Indies take 1, they're probably going to take a whole bunch of wickets in a clump, which is effectively what happened. And Scotland had to eke their way up to 244. But at one point, it looked like Scotland could go north of 250. Now, hand on heart, because in fact, not even before I asked you that question, the reason I mentioned the 171 for 4 at 32 overs is Scotland were going up. West Indies lost the plot for me somewhere between overs number 20 to possibly around 30, 32, because effectively Hayley had to bring herself back and bowl out in order to try and get West Indies back into the game. I think Ramarat came back early doors as well. So when I look back at that stretch of play, I think there was 3 overs from Alira Lane in that stretch where she couldn't land a disciplined line and length. In fact, a lot of them were wayward in that stretch, where I think effectively what I'm trying to say to you is, if you look through the Scottish bowling from across the whole 50 overs, even if it wasn't that penetrative, they never lost their discipline. Whereas I think there was that stretch in the Scottish innings where West Indies did lose their discipline. And I wonder now, looking back, if actually whether 244 should have been chased or not, they actually let Scotland make too many runs.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, it was 104 when there's that run out of Ailsa Lister. It's a bullet throw from Chanel Henry. Great, so she had 2 very good run outs. I mean, I'm going to say there's a lot I could say about Henry's batting performance in there, but we'll save that for a bit later. There's a bullet arm, he comes in, it sneaks a run out that goes to the room, direct hit, gets Ailsa Lister out, and I think 100 for 4, that's it. There's not, like says, McCullough's got some experience batting, Catherine Fraser's got promise, but I wasn't expecting huge amounts. They've broken that key partnership of, I think they made about 30, Lister and Sarah Bryce have put on. I thought, that's it. And then suddenly, West Indies just seemed to take the foot off the gas. And then the next 10 overs, so it's like Scotland were batting and getting more than 6 and over. And it's like you put an 82-run partnership. And just let us take control of the game as a team. I just don't see what. Like I said, okay, the pitch was flattening out by that point, but I don't see why there was. Elaine couldn't find a line, but there's I just don't understand what happened there. Something mentally seemed to go. They probably left Zayda James in. I mean, she only bowled 4 overs. And when she came back, it was already when they were well set. Those 2 bats were well set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She bowled the first 3 overs in the power play and was very tidy. And then she had 1 loose over where I think the first 3 overs went for 3-4 runs.
4 runs
Wasn't that much. and then she had one came back in once Sarah Bryson Megacall was settled, and yeah, just got hit, and then we never saw her in the rest of the game for bowling. So
I
yeah,
just,
I just
think,
don't. I
I
just
just
understand why
think,
they took the foot off the gas there. I think maybe it's
yeah,
just too relaxed.
yeah,
There
that's
was
what I was
also
going to
those
say.
3 drop catches.
Hmm.
The thing is, there's a one at Ramrack at first slip, where it's
Yeah,
just a nice soft edge, I think from McCall, chest height, and then she just parries it over her head.
yeah.
And I
Affy
just thought,
dropped one off her own bowling.
yeah, after dropped one of bowling, there was one that was a catch out at mid-on that was a goalkeeper thing, but I said that would go down as a drop chance, but that was quite a tricky one. You know, that would have been a stunning catch to take. So I let that one up. But
In fact,
there was
I
a
think
couple.
Affy dropped two off her own bowling. You
Yeah, after
know.
dropped 2 off her own bowling.
Yeah.
I think the second one was a bit more difficult.
Mm.
But yeah, it's those chances just didn't go down. I said, okay, this partnership's still going. We're still thinking. But yeah, then you thought, oh, they get another wicket, it would be all over. It'd fall apart. Particularly if they got Sarah, it was going to fall apart because there isn't much battling left after Catherine Fraser,
Yeah.
and Catherine Fraser is very raw. She can hit big scores. She is a hard striker, but yeah, she only turned 20 today. We weren't expecting huge amounts of it. She has been away in Zimbabwe with the Durham women's team the last month and a half, but she was mainly there as a bowler. She wasn't really doing any much batting at all.
Mm.
So,
what I would say about that passage of play as well is it's one thing to let the game get away from you a bit, and I don't know if this is a critique of Hayley's captaincy per se, but what worried me about that when Scotland were going at over sixes for about a 10 over 12 over stretch is I didn't really see any attempt to dry the runs up. It was
yeah,
kind
but
of like, when people are just running in and bowling and expecting something to happen. And I didn't really, I couldn't see a clearly identifiable plan where it was like, right, we're going to dry the runs up here. We're going to bowl tight, fifth stump line, outside of stump, force Bryson McCall to have to reach and go after the ball. Like every over, I was like, so what's coming next? And it was a bit of a bag of licorice, all sorts. You didn't really know what the plan was. If you see where I'm coming from, almost as if they thought they were already into the tail and that an error would just come.
yeah, I think it was like it felt very Bosey at that point, and particularly after that point, because Sharon Fraser, okay, she got hit for a couple of 5 overs, but she bowls 2 overs. She's there to bowl. What's the what was the point of having there if you're only going to have bowled 2 overs?
Yeah,
And it wasn't exactly like so. I'm surprised they didn't give her a try. I'm surprised they didn't give Henry a try when it was clearly Elaine. The plan seemed to have Elaine bowl one for one end and either Ramarek or Fletcher to try and stay up, but neither Ramarek or Fletcher dried the runs up.
exactly.
And then Elaine was clearly missing line. So bring in Fraser or Henry. That's what they're
And that's
there
the
for.
thing. And this is the weirdest thing about the West Indies team. They literally have about 9 people who can bowl. So when things aren't going your way or the game looks like it's getting away from you a bit, you have enough bowling arsenal to even do that thing where you go, right, we're not even sticking with one bowler. We're going to try and discombobulate the batters here and go 1 over from Chanel Henry, next over from Cherry Ann Fraser, next over from Zayn. Do you see what I mean? And it just got a bit too... The game kind of just got into a bit of a lull where it was all a bit samey. The batters were obviously well set. And it's like I say, it was only when Hayley brought herself back and essentially said, right, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to be the one to break the partnership, which she predictably then did, took another wicket. And then, like I say, Scotland managed to eke their way up to 244. Now, if we go to the West Indies innings, I still maintain that the pitch was not causing trouble. 245 to win should have been got. Even if they took it to the 48th over, 49th over, it was a pass score. It wasn't an unreachable score. And I think, like I said in my opening monologue, when Zeta got out at 140 or whatever the score was, there was literally just shy of 100 runs to get, or just above 100 runs to get. You can't tell me, as proud as you are of the Scottish women's performance, you can't tell me that you didn't think at that point, well, Hayley's at one end, they'll see this hole.
Yeah, like you said, you can see on the Discord. I mean, it's in Discord, you can see the watch along. At no point did I think that Scotland had a chance until I started believing when Gajnabi went. I thought, hey, that was the point I started thinking, oh, hang on, we're actually in with a chance here. And then I said, yeah, run Hayley out of partners was the thing. Because once Gajnabi gone, I think, yeah, run Hayley out of partners because Hayley was not going anywhere. She had to break herself. But it was 142 for 2 after the 32nd over. So 103 runs, you've got 18 overs, no run rate pressure at all. I mean, like you said, just a couple of a boundary and a couple of singles off the over. You're coasting. It was absolute cruising. And yeah, like I said, it just fell apart. I couldn't start to say Stefan Taylor is not quick on the runs. I'm surprised they actually went for a quick single, knowing that she's not got the thing. I think that was unnecessary because you didn't need to go quick singles at that point. I think they were still down with less than 5 and over at that. So they just let her play her shots. I mean, that's effectively what Hayley was doing at the end. You just let Stefani play that innings and just say, well, Hayley will do the runs and Hayley will just get the striker occasionally. And you don't have to worry about what Hayley's doing.
Exactly.
So I'm surprised. I'm surprised, like you said, just let's either Hayley it goes for well, say they only try and run a quick single off the last ball thing, but let's just let Stefani hit. I mean, it was the ball was there for the hitting. When Chanel Henry came in and said, "I'm just hit 260 straight away," clearly seeing it well. The pitch was nothing special, the deliveries were nothing special, but I honestly thought that Hayley with those two, when she got those 2 runouts and she hit those 260s, thought, I'm too good for this. This is not worth my time. I'm just going to log on it. But saying this is the kind of difference between playing a T20 innings and a 50 over innings.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It's people are starting to treat 50 over cricket like a fat T20. You just bat harder and longer. You don't. There's ebbs and flows. If you're a neutral watching that game today, that's a great game of cricket. They swung from both sides. So, like I said, the passages were West Indies on top, passages were Scotland on top, and then obviously all the drama at the end with Hayley's innings. So, like I said, the points passages in play where you can't just go and hit out all the time. Yeah, 12 off 2. If you're playing for a Women's Premier League team or a 100 team or a Women's CPL team, yeah, that's nice. Good job. And then someone else will come in and hit some more 4s or 6s. But there was 70 runs still to chase at the end there.
Yeah.
And Henry should have stayed, like I said, okay, I can to dot a few balls. I could hit 1 boundary and over. I can hit 1-6. It's clearly, like they said, you made the point to Scotland there that I can hit you anywhere, and it's not even going to be a risky shot. Neither of those 2 6s felt like they were like no danger at all in going anywhere near the fielders. No risk taken, but why? I just don't understand why you would have to think with 70 runs to go, why you still try and hit a third 6 in a row when you're only chasing 4 or 5 and over.
And this is why I think if it was Errol who said it or whoever said it, I can't remember now. It was an ego thing. It had to be an ego thing because that 70, I think it was when West Indies needed 70 odds, it was off like 90 something balls. West Indies could have seen that game home by just because Hayley wasn't hitting lots of boundaries. She basically had nudged and nurdled her way, cramps notwithstanding, to 90 odd. She hadn't.
Yeah, she was trying to run the ball most of the innings.
Yeah, in fact, I'll go and have a look now. Hayley hit 14 4s. I'd love to know how many of those 4s came at the back end when she started cramping up. But when she got to about 80 odd, 90 odd, it wasn't like she was doing a boundary laden show. She was just playing the balls on its merit, nudging and nerding, occasional boundary, and that was all that was needed. And I know Hayley's levels above everyone else, but the remainder of the West Indian batters have the game to just nudge and nurdle. And to be fair to Aaliyah Elaine, that's what she was doing. Yeah, she hit some boundaries, but she basically assessed the situation and said, right, I just need to nudge Nerd. Obviously, Hayley can't run, so I'll have to hit a few boundaries, but I don't need to take any undue risks here because the game situation means that through shit, Scotland will bowl loose enough balls for us to put away, and the game situation will allow us to just gradually bring this down, right? And when Aaliyah got out, that's why I couldn't criticize her, because it wasn't like Aaliyah, okay, yeah, maybe she should have defended that ball, but it wasn't like she got out doing a dunce shot. If you see what I mean.
I think because the amount of upheaval and the pressure on Aaliyah, I think that LBW, I think she just got so in some different minds. Like you said, Matthews is coming in and out, and you're pressured to what does Elaine do? Does she try and get a strike? Does she try? I think she got caught. That LBW, she was caught in 100 different minds of what to play that shot, and it just went hit her straight. I don't have for Elaine's batting performance. I don't have issues. She tried to play the situation as well as possible. The issue is with the upper order in the middle order and the lower order. It's like all you had to do was let Hayley take the strike. She hits a 4. And then she'll take a single at the end of the over. That's 5 and over. And then you'll have maybe 1 or 2 balls where you just hit, you either block out or hit 1 or 2. That's all they needed to do. And they couldn't do that. It was not like Scotland were bowling anything special. The ground fielding wasn't great. Scotland dropped a few, had a couple of hard chances he dropped. It wasn't that Scotland did something special to win that game. It's West Indies choked in a manner that even South Africa would have been proud of.
Okay, so listen, I'm going to bring the show to an end now. But unbelievably, that hour that we've nearly done now has flown by. But let me bring it to an end by saying this. So Scotland have got points on the board. You know where I'm going with this. You've got to believe that you will beat Thailand. So that's 4. You want to hope that you can win the Derby versus Ireland. That's 6. At this juncture now, who do you expect to qualify? Do you say Pakistan and Bangladesh, or do you think that Ireland or Scotland can take a win off Bangladesh, which would effectively bring West Indies back into the equation?
Yeah, I think it says
potentially.
Well, West Indies have to win out from here. There's no room for error. Because it says my issue says I think we could beat Bangladesh if we weren't in Pakistan. Or like it says in the subcontinent, I think we could beat Bangladesh. Because I think, as I said, we have, it's the spin conditions, that helps them. It's hard to say it like this. There's 2 things I would factor in the same. Is one, Pakistan have very unhappy dressing room. Although I said also better speak to about on Pakistan women's cricket, but while Bangladesh and West Indies and Sri Lanka and Scotland are all investing in women's cricket, Pakistan are cutting the players' pay. And so you've got a very unhappy dressing room there. They very much laboured to that win against Ireland. I've only seen highlights, but that margin was a lot closer than I thought it should be.
Yeah, because they won by 38 runs, but at one point, Ireland were something like 125 for 4. They may even have been 140 for 4, and could have potentially won that game.
Yeah. Ireland's setup, they've gone very similar to how Scotland are playing. Like I said, they've gone very much for a youth setup, and they've built the entire team around Ola Prendergast. She's an incredible talent. She's getting contracts and franchise contracts. But that entire team is built around her in the same way that you would see West Indies built around Hayley. So, like I said, I think West Indies should beat Thailand, should beat Ireland. But that game against Pakistan, there's a lot of pressure on that now. And then you don't even know what's the extent of what Hayley's injured. If Hayley's out, I'd say that's game over.
If Hayley's out, then we're out of the competition. It's just, and I hate to say it, but the reality is, if Hayley's out, we are out.
Yeah, like I said, would be interested to have seen a reaction cam from DeAndre Docton if he was watching that game. So I said, could do a favour. I said, I think what we effectively have to win 3 of the 4 games for Scotland to qualify, but it's opened it up quite dramatically. like I said, it's something at the start of the day I would never thought I would be thinking that they would say, actually, we might sneak here, sneaking chance. We just have to surprise one more team.
I'm just looking at the next set of games for those listening. So Bangladesh play Thailand tomorrow. Pakistan plays Scotland on Friday. Pakistan play Scotland and Ireland play West Indies on that Friday. Boy, I mean, to be fair, Osprey, because Scotland's next game is against Thailand, they effectively would go into that Bangladesh game knowing that a win sets up a. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying. It sets up it makes one. Yeah, it's like it says, there's a lot of confidence and momentum. And momentum is a huge thing in these round robin tournaments. And things and competition. So I think
ultimately the advantage for Scotland from here is they would have come into this tournament expecting that they're going to take an L, at least one, if not two L's out of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and West Indies, right? Now they've won against West Indies, they can afford to take an L against Pakistan and still believe they can win this and still believe they can go through now.
Yeah, we've got 3 hits. The Pakistan-Bangladesh game will be of interest in there. And there's also, like I said, the fact that Scotland do have a tendency to bring rain wherever they go in the world. I mean, like I said, we've had, I think, 3 consecutive series where we've been to the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, and brought rain to the Arabian desert. Saying, well, that's our thing. So I don't know if we get any weather interventions, I would put Scotland got a chance of going through. But I don't know. I don't want to raise expectations now. I'm just like saying, take the win, say great job, go out and celebrate Captain Fraser's birthday, chilled out, and then take each game at a time. Don't get ahead of ourselves there. But like he says, we're in a very strong position now to qualify.
Well, listen,
just to see how it goes.
That's exactly it. Osprey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I say, people, for those of you who are, I mean, the one thing that the Scotland win has done is, if there wasn't attention on this Women's World Cup qualifiers, I'm sure there is now, or certainly more of it in the world of cricket. So there's games tomorrow, like I say, people. Bangladesh versus Thailand tomorrow. You have to assume that Bangladesh win that. But on Friday, Super Friday, Pakistan versus Scotland, Ireland versus West Indies women. And for those of you who've tuned into this, because so many people on the watch along this morning kept going, where can I watch this? Go to icc.tv and then just create an account and you can watch it on the ICC main website. Of course, cricket being a stupid game, you can't find this anywhere else. You probably can't find highlights anywhere because the ICC doesn't actually want to grow the game. But, you know, we have to move it. Actually, one little tidbit before me and Osprey go. There was a run out in this match where, who was it? Was it McCall?
It's McCall, yeah. The run out said that there's no angle for it.
Yeah.
The keeper's blocking the one angle they have.
Yeah.
And the other one's like a 244 bits. Like,
yeah. They
just
showed
trying to see
the
a
angles,
potato.
people. They showed the angles. They gave us the first angle was Shemaine Campbell was blocking the wicket. So you couldn't tell if the wicket had been broken before McCall got in. The second angle they gave us was this time in front of the wicket, and you still couldn't tell if McCall had got in because the gloves are the same color as the ball, and there was no zoom button. So we were looking at pixelated graphics of gloves and stumps. No, it was. Do you know what it was like? It was like a version of Spot the Ball. I didn't even know where the ball was, much less if the bells had come off, and they had no other angle to give us. And when I was watching it, Osprey, all I kept thinking was, and right there is how this. If anyone wanted an example of how the game of cricket doesn't grow, we've just seen it right there. So,
yeah, Mash, you know I could rant about this subject all the time, but I'm just glad the stream was working. There are multiple times where you have half an hour blocks where it's just that be right back screen. And we had a couple of minutes, total times where it flashed up. But that's common where you can go for a half an hour where it's just the be right back screen and you're not seeing any cricket. Yeah. This is what it's like being an associate at Scotland in any game. This game, I think someone said in the chat this morning, this game could have been streamed on YouTube.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
could quite easily. Streamed, I think, said Zimbabwe streamed their matches at home on YouTube. We have had the West Indies Championship is streamed on YouTube. We could do that, but the IC have cheaped out on this company and have just given them a contract and keep renewing this contract. When they said they're not even checking if there's a better option, it's just the cheapest, easiest deal, and run these competitions, these qualifiers, for as low cost as possible, so money can go to the favorite teams. And that's not even going to like how badly Thailand are treated. That's another rant for another day.
Yeah. Well, listen, Osprey, thank you so much for coming on. You didn't get much warning, but you've been an excellent guest. That was never in doubt. And ladies and gents, thank you for those of you I know in the Caribbean and in North America. Most of you are at work, so it's not like I gave anyone any warning for this, but thank you for those who've been listening. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you as well. It's important, as I said a couple of days ago, it's important to cover the women's game in as much detail as we cover the men's game. Nobody would have batted an eyelid if I'd done this. If the men had lost to Scotland, it's just as important to cover the women's game as well. So on your way out, people, like, share, subscribe, notification button, all of that. And if you want to contribute to Caribbean Cricket Podcast, as ever, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. I've been Mashel St. Patrick Hewitt. Osprey has been Osprey. Scotland have beaten the West Indies. Queen Hayley tried her best, but it's Scotland who take the 2 points. We'll be back very, very soon with some more content.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.